Welcome, Wapham crew and new listeners. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Saturday, December 10th, Sunday, December 11th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I am your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live tonight from the Mile High Clubhouse. I'm so glad you guys could join us. I hope you guys had an awesome weekend so far. I hope last week wasn't too hard. You didn't work too hard. You kind of took it easy when you could. You didn't have as much stress and heartache as I did. I hope it went well for you. I hope the holiday season is not sucking the life out of you. And yeah, I hope you have a good time tonight. That's my number one cardinal rule. You must have a good time. So if you're listening to us live right now, you may be listening to us on KPNL Radio, which you can find on KPNL Radio at kpnl-bb.com. You may also find us on eTalk Radio on etalk.tv/radio. If you want to listen to us in your free time, whether you're working it, or working out, make sure you check us out under We Are Paradox Media at Spreaker, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio. We're on Facebook Live under Tessa N. Thomas Peterson. I'm also going to share those over to We Are Paradox Media and Four Corners Paranormal, if those are the pages that you follow. Castbox, Tumblr, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and Podvine. So I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. This evening, we will be talking to and getting to know a little bit more about our friend Steve Stockton. So from his early years, Steve Stockton has had what can be called strange and oftentimes frightening experiences with the paranormal and unexplained. These encounters led to him researching for the answers, only to discover the truth isn't really that easy to find. Welcome, Steve, and thanks so much for joining the show. Right? Hold on one second, because I'm not... Okay, I think I got you. Go ahead and say something else. This new sound thing we're doing. I can hear you. It's just not bouncing on the show, so let me see what else I can pick up here. Holy shnikes. See? Yes. Don't leave. Don't leave. Just stay right there. This generally takes me just a second when something like this happens. Exactly. Keep your dang fingers off that dial right there. Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh my gosh, it is so cold up here. Let me turn this on really quick to see if this helps, but yeah, and I'm hoping, like, if it's not coming through over here, it's going through there. But yes, this winter, I have to tell you, from the get-go, as far as um winters have gone, started really, really early. We can start a new thing with this. Okay, so you guys, you don't know because I worked on this over the weekend, trying to get this ready for my live on a particular station, and I don't know, this is just really freaking me out because I know. Oh, so you're not there anymore? It definitely is. Okay, I'm just gonna get frustrated right now. Hey, maybe this one will work. I'm sorry, Steve. This is the worst time possible to have this happen because I finally have you back in my clinches. I know. Definitely. Okay, let me. What if I press this button? Uh-oh. I know. I'm just as disappointed, Mr. Mulder. I'm like, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm just like, I need to go back over here, but okay, so there's the sound system I use for e-talk, and of all the things, it's called the butt. And then this other guy introduced something. Oh, it looks like you're coming through over here. I know. I gotta get my butt lined up. I'm like, come on, butt. Like, what the hell? Yeah, my back's been hurting, but that shouldn't cause any issues, really. Back it up. Well, you've been here before. Yeah, you've been here before, so let me see. I'm trying to remember, did I use the aux? No, I think I used this other one. Hopefully you'll come through on this one. Yeah, whole freaking shitload of places. But yeah, people would get freaked out. They're like, "Oh, really? We can cuss on this show?" Um,
There you go.
yay, I found you.
Yeah, here I am. There are.
There you are. There are I. Okay, so let me go back over here because I
That's
can't
not my
see.
dog barking there. That must be one of yours.
Yeah, that's Hercules. He's got a loud mouth, man. Like, come on, Herc.
Yeah, I think Mr. I don't know. I don't know if Mother can hear it or not. I've got headphones on, but
Yeah, it's funny because in the past on our old sound system, the listener could hear the dog, but the listeners couldn't. So I'm hoping they don't hear the same as you. But I think
they
dog
can probably hear
hears.
my dog when he barks because I'm just I don't have my. I just moved here not too long ago, and I still don't have all my studio stuff set up. So I'm actually streaming from a little Chromebook here in my living room / video studio that's still a work in progress. I've got my lights back there. I've got a Mac over here. I've got this.
I love that background. It makes me feel at home.
It's a real fireplace. It's on. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah.
Yes.
I've got a light behind me. Somebody accused me of having a green screen, but that's
real. I can see your shadow and everything.
Real fireplace. So no green screen. I've got a green screen, but it's back there in the other video studio. Ended up here by myself with my dog and my cat in a 3-bedroom house. So every room can be a production studio, sound studio, a video studio, whatever I want it to be.
Yeah.
It's like Mitch Hedberg, he said I bought a 3-bedroom house, but ultimately, isn't that up to me how many bedrooms there are? This kitchen has a stove, or this bedroom has a stove and a refrigerator in it. This bedroom has a washer and dryer.
Yeah.
This bedroom has a tub and a toilet. Every room can be a bedroom, so every room can be a studio. And I do my audio in the middle room back there, and then I've got video set up here, another video green screen thing set up in the other Studio B, and then I've got an office out here in the other end of the house. I don't know what I'm going to do out there yet, but I'm loving it. First time in my life I've ever lived alone. I had parents, and then I went to college. I had roommates, and then went back to the parents, and then I had girlfriends and wives and children, and more roommates, and it's just me now, and it's oddly quiet here, and I get up and do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it, and
you don't have to put on clothes.
I don't.
Yeah,
I've only done that once. I was doing some laundry, and I thought, well, I need to wash what I've got on, but I don't really have anything to put on, so I just marched out in the laundry room, took it off, put it in and then only wore shoes back through the house. And thankfully, my curtains are closed. I don't want to give my neighbors a free show. They have to pay extra for that.
You got to pay for that. So you're loving the land of entrapment. What do you think so far?
I love it so far. Now, I passed through here back in the early 2000s when I moved from Orlando to Las Vegas. I remember driving through Tucumcari and Albuquerque, and I don't remember much else about it, but I liked it then. And but I'm right here, and I'm in northern, like I said, in the high desert. I'm close to the Colorado border. I'm right at the edge of the Navajo Nation reservation, not too far from Four Corners. There's a lot of cool stuff out here. A lot of canyons and UFO sites and ghost towns and ruins. And I pretty much explored everything in the Pacific Northwest. I've been up there about 10 years and did the whole Oregon, Washington thing up there. So I'm happy to have a new place to explore. I wasn't expecting it to get this cold this quick. So I've got plans. I'm just waiting for warm weather. I've got several places here in New Mexico I'm going to hit. I'm going to see how close I can get to Skinwalker Ranch up in the Uinta Basin. And I've got plans to go to the Superstition Mountains in Arizona. Another place that's been on my bucket list for a long time.
So. And I have a place we can stay, too, if we go down there. My mom and sister were living down in Phoenix, but now it's just my sister. So there's a spare bedroom, there's, a lovely couch, and some...
Oh, so you got accommodations in Phoenix.
Yes. So if you want to go, I was thinking about this earlier, like, you do your video stuff, I don't know if you have a companion or whatnot, like, I could help with that. I've been doing video.
Yeah, I generally have a traveling companion, Sandy. She's my partner over on 13 Past Midnight. We travel together, but always use another set of hands.
Yes.
And I've been looking at the Phoenix area. I have a girlfriend in Indiana that we might end up in Phoenix. I've actually been looking at some radio stations there. I've got plans probably within the next year or so. I want to buy a radio station. So I thought, I like talking. I like talking into a microphone. And I'll be damned if I'm going to be somebody's employee. So I'll just buy the station and then go live whenever I want to go live. And there's one in Phoenix that's it's a profitable station. It's for sale at a reasonable price. Includes the building, the lot, the equipment, the tower.
Awesome.
It's got a staff already there. So I'll make my girlfriend the station manager. How hard could it be? Watch a couple of episodes of WKRP, you got it. And then I can go live anytime. It's my station.
That's true. And like when you were saying that, I'm just sitting there. Every time I go to my mom's, I'm trying to see UFOs, but there's houses everywhere, and there's this opening. All you see are the radio towers on the mountain, because we're next to South Mountain.
And the nice thing about that, even if I buy a radio station there, they make a broadcasting unit. It's not real cheap, and you have to have a dedicated. I think it's an ISDN line, but I can flip a switch, and I can be on the air in Phoenix wherever I'm at if I take that broadcasting unit with me. It's like doing a remote or whatever, but it's much more clear. So yeah, that's what's in my future.
Yay. Yeah, we're talking about me going down there. We should do lunch. I finally got a vehicle. I was telling you about the 2 breakdowns. And that same night, my husband came in and dangled some keys in front of me, and I was like, thanks. And he's like, happy belated birthday. And I was like,
wow,
what the
that's
fuck
nice.
are you talking about, Willis? And he's like, the Nissan is yours. And I'm like,
I'm
no way,
currently,
you're fucking
I
with
don't
me.
I only have a 2-wheel vehicle right now, motorbike. But I let my license expire like a dummy. When I moved from Nevada to Oregon, I had like 5 or 6 years left on my license, and I kept putting it off and putting it off. And then the car that I had in Oregon stopped working, failed to proceed, as they say. So I used public transit, and then that was fine because I worked within a few blocks of my house. It was just a bus ride, or I could ride the train if I really wanted to, like 2 stops. Excuse me, I have a cat butt in my face. But thank you, Bittens. I appreciate that. But
you know they really like you when they show the butthole.
Yeah.
Like, hey, check it out.
A friend of mine said if reincarnation is the thing, they want to come back as a cat and show everyone their butthole.
They're like, check it out.
Yeah. But then I get out here and I'm at the mercy of I have everything delivered: Amazon, DoorDash, Instacart, all that. But sometimes you got to get outside, do a little chicken run on my motorbike. Now I don't have a license or any of that accoutrement, but I just run up to the Walgreens on the corner. Well, I'm careful. I don't give too much away here. Somebody might be listening to.
No, but like the drivers around there scare the shit out of me. Like, they're even worse than up here, so be careful.
I had some friends from Durango. I think they're listening in tonight. Want to say hi to Mackenzie, Corey, and Mara. They drove down from Durango, took me to lunch at Texas Roadhouse. It was awesome. I love meeting my fans, hanging out with people like that. They're instant family now. They've already invited me to Colorado for Christmas because all my family are either far flung or on the other side. So I was just going to be here with me and the dog and cat, but I might go up there for Christmas Eve.
That'd be awesome. If you do, let me know, because I'd love to come over and see you. And like I said, I have a new vehicle, so now we can go to lunch.
Now that you've got a car, you need to drive down here and then take me to lunch. I'll just go ahead and tell it. I've talked about it on other shows. I'm in Farmington. There's New Mexico. There's a lot of good restaurants here.
Oh, yeah.
It's a small town enough that it's nice, but then it's big enough. I mean, there's 2 Walmarts here. We have an east and a west, and I was amazed at the selection of nice restaurants here and things. There's Greek restaurants, there's Middle Eastern food, there's all kinds of Tex-Mex and Mexican authentic food, Navajo food, which I dearly love, Navajo bread, Navajo tacos.
Good.
And, of course, you got all the chain restaurants here, but a lot of those mom and pop places are great. Blake's Lottaburger, I want to shout those guys out. I eat from there often. Taco Box, that's another one. It's just a little place. Slim Chickens. There's just all kinds of good food here. I'm amazed.
That's really good. And they have a Hobby Lobby.
Yes, there's a Hobby Lobby. There's a Best Buy.
Yes.
There's TJ Maxx. I bought a lot of Halloween decorations there, some of which you can I still have my Halloween decorations up behind me. That Home Sweet Haunted Home, and then I've got some little Christmassy things up there. There's some snowflakes with mine and Mulder's and Bitten's name on them. That
This
my
is my Christmas
girlfriend.
decoration. It's the Christmas hat on my skeleton.
Yeah, I don't have any Christmas decorations, and I do celebrate somewhat. But I lived in a neighborhood one time where like the whole block went all out. Every house lights, and they would pump live music outside, and I was the only house that didn't decorate. And they kept giving me a hard time and chiding me and shaming me, So, but I did, and I am a Christian. But I went and on Amazon and I bought a light up menorah, and I plugged it in and put it in the window. That was the only decoration I had. They left me alone. They
Yeah,
thought I
they
was
do. Like, oh, he's Jewish.
they thought I was of a different faith, so they stopped with it. You have to decorate your house,
They're like,
shenanigans.
oh, now that it makes sense. It was funny because this is the first year I've done Salvation Army, and last year when Vern was in his medically induced coma because of COVID and stuff, I had to reach out to them and they helped me with the electricity. And we ran out of gas in front of the food stamps office last week, and so I went up to try to get a voucher, but my insurance expired, so couldn't really get a voucher. But they're like, but you can volunteer, and I'm like, hell yes, I'm going to, because like, not just because you guys help me, but I love helping people.
I do
And
too. I like the Salvation Army. I always put a few bucks in the pot, and then I like to go shop at their thrift store too. You can still find bargains there, unlike some of these other places. I won't mention any names, but Goodwill.
oh, is it really that good?
Well, the one in the Portland area, the Goodwill, the Willamette Valley. I still want to say Willamette because that's what it looks like, but it's the Willamette Valley. There, the person, the overseer, had to step down because it was discovered that she was getting like a seven-figure salary for running the Goodwill of that area. And seriously, I've gone in those stores in Portland before and seen stuff that was just as much, sometimes maybe even a little bit more than you could go buy it new for. And they do provide jobs and things for people with special needs and people that would otherwise have trouble getting a job. They hire like people out of work release and people that have been in prison, things like that. But they only pay them a partial wage. The government pays the rest. We get the person that's over it makes over $1 million a year. That just doesn't sound right to me. And those things that they sell, those are donations. They don't pay for any of that stuff. So it's all pure profit.
Yeah, it is.
And I prefer the Salvation Army, or when I lived in St. Helens, Oregon, we had a little store called Top Notch, and it was all donation driven, and every single penny, there's all volunteers, every penny they raised went to Meals on Wheels for the elderly and infirm. See, I get behind that. That's a good cause.
Yeah, I love the veterans stuff. I love the stuff for the elderly and for broken families because it's running rampant. Like anything you can think of is happening right now. And I don't know. Goodwill. I can never remember the name because it doesn't stick with me because I'm not that impressed. Because, like you said, the prices. You can go buy that shit brand new, but would you rather buy it used so you could help somebody out? And
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it, but that's the thing. How much of that do they actually see? If they're paying their director or overseer seven figures, then that's even $100,000 a year salary, I think, would be good for a position like that. So that's 900,000 at least. They were overpaid, or that could have went to help people and people in need and veterans and anybody that needs it. I just, there's always somebody padding their pocket somewhere.
Yeah, I only do that when I'm trying to keep my fingers warm. Last night, me and my daughter did the Salvation Army bell ringer, and I saw this brave guy last week, and he's sitting there singing Christmas carols, and he's ringing his bell. I just turn it to iHeartRadio to rocking Christmas music, and me and my daughter and my son will ring the bell to the music. I ain't gonna sing unless I've had a couple shots and I ain't driving. So I just play music and we ring the bell to that. But last night it was so frigid. It was like 24 freaking degrees, and there was not a cloud in the sky, and you could see the moon. It was so beautiful, but it was like you would
Yeah.
lose your breath
He
sometimes,
does
and I
let you
kept having to
build a
hide
fire in a
whispers,
garbage can or an oil dryer
right?
there with you.
Just to get the ambiance.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was
That's cool.
hardcore.
I like it that you do benevolent things like that. We do that with missing persons and mysteries. We donate to a lot of the organizations, Charlie Project, Name Us, and then like that to the families so that they can print up posters to help find loved ones, T-shirt, whatever, pay for private searches and things like that. And we do all that anonymously. We're not there to look big and say, "Hey, look at this." We're just that's what we do. If we can bring one person home or give one family closure, then we're doing what we've been called to do. Is that a Ouija
Oh
mug that you're
yeah,
drinking out of there? I love that. I've got one similar to
I
that.
won't use one, but I'll drink out of it.
I've got a box that looks like one, and I've got things stored in it. But you could use it. You could use anything for planchette. I
Right?
have
There
used
it
them. I
has.
don't care to now, especially after some of the stories I've heard. But
I could be like, here, let's see where it goes. No, but I did have an experience on Ouija board, but I learned my lesson. Not gonna do it again. I'm gonna be. But I love this cup. I don't know.
who's that made by? Can you see the bottom of it without pouring it in your
I
lap?
got this at the Spirit of Halloween. Ouija by what? It's like, let me turn it this way. I'm getting older now, so my eyesight is getting worse. Hasbro. So Spirit
Okay,
Halloween is
well,
'66.
that's who holds the patent for the Ouija board. Now it used to be Parker Brothers,
Now
but
it's Hasbro, right?
Ouija board, yeah, it's a toy company, but I think it's anything but a toy. It can be a toy, but when my mother bought one for me when I was 6 years old, and
It's just a
came out
game, right?
came out of the toy department at Woolworths. So there you go.
What
Um,
happened?
I didn't. I had good experiences with it.
Really?
The first time, now my mom's side of the family, they came out of the. Hey, Sandra, it's good to see you.
She's so
Um,
beautiful.
my mom's side of the family, they came out of the spiritualism movement from around the turn of the last century. So when my mom was a young girl in the 20s and 30s, they her family regularly had seances and table tappings and used the Ouija board. My
They didn't have
grandmother was,
cable.
oh yeah, they would sit and stare at the radio, or they would contact the great beyond. And a lot of the spiritualism stuff then had to do with some of the wars that were going on, the World War One and things. They had some relatives that didn't come back, and they would try to contact them and things. But my grandmother was a self-styled witch. She called herself a gypsy witch. I don't know where the gypsy part came from because her side of the family, when they landed from England and Scotland, they were in the Cates Cove area of the Smokies. So not too many gypsies up there, but
Yeah, I don't really think
somewhere
it's
there's an old
like.
country connection.
Yeah, I
But
don't think it's like, your heritage or whatever. It's a way of life, just like van
yeah,
life.
and she told fortunes and read tea leaves and coffee grounds and animal entrails. Practiced phrenology, which is that's kind of a lost art now. But they could tell things about you, your personality, and your future and your fortune by feeling the bumps on your head.
Yeah,
And
like
yeah,
you were
so I
dropped several times as
came
a
by it
child.
honest, and I remember being in the toy aisle. I'd been out of school sick that day. I had strep throat or something, and we'd gone to Walgreens or somewhere to get some medicine for me. There was a Woolworths right next door. My mom wanted to go in there and get something. I wandered down the toy aisle, and I remember it was the old Ouija board box from the 60s. This would have been about 68 or 69. And it was a black, and it had like a hooded figure, like holding up a finger or something, and in blue. And I was just, oh, this is creepy. What is this? I want this. And my mom explained to me what it is. She bought it for me, took it home, and being a kid in school, the first thing I wanted to know is when's their first snow day. my mom and I sat down, knees together, we worked the board, and it gave a date. Well, that date approached the day before, there wasn't any snow in the forecast, Steve. And I thought, well, Ouija, you failed me now. But sure enough, the next morning, woke up to like an inch of snow on the ground. There was no school that day. Got a snow day, and I thought, this is excellent. But, there were rules. You didn't ask anything that you didn't want to know. You didn't invite anything through. You don't ask it stuff like when you're going to die or when somebody else is going to die.
Yeah, but aren't you curious?
A bit, but not that curious. I don't want to know. But the second one, and this was the most amazing one. The snow thing was pretty cool. But where I went to kindergarten, and back then Tennessee didn't have state-run kindergarten. The churches had private kindergartens. I went to kindergarten at Methodist Church in West Knoxville, Tennessee, and West Knox County. And they would play records and stuff for us. And they had this record of circus music. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Had a clown on and all the makeup and everything on the front of it. And it was an old record then. It was probably from sometime in the 50s. And I wanted that album so bad. Well, I was probably autistic as a child, had Asperger's or something like that. I would focus on something, and then that's all I could ever think about. Well, I obsessed over this album, went to all the places that I normally, because my parents would buy me books or records, either one of those things. I could have as many as I wanted, anything that I wanted.
Those are good parents.
Yeah, so we went to every place that had records. They'd never seen it, never heard of it. It was out of print. And so the next time, that I did the Ouija board, I was still after that album. And I thought, so we asked the Ouija board, where can I get this specific album? And it actually spelled out the name of a tiny little record shop in downtown Knoxville on Market Square Mall. And I didn't even know it existed.
No way!
My mom looked it up in the phone book, called the number, the guy answered, and it's a used record store. And he's like, lady, I've got thousands of records here, but I'll keep an eye out for it. Hung up the phone. That was a long-distance phone call back then. We had an Oak Ridge exchange, but had to call Knoxville. It was a long-distance call. Well, sure enough, a couple of days later, the phone rang, and it was the guy from the record store. And he said, darn this thing. He said, I went back there. I was looking for something else. I was flipping through some albums. There was that album that you called about. So I think like the next day or something, we drove into downtown Knoxville. And that was back when there weren't malls or things like that. Going downtown was a big thing. That's where, Penny's and Sears and Cressy's and all these shopping stores, multi-level places are at. And you have lunch, the lunch counter and all this. So we went down to Market Square, Knoxville, met the man, paid the money, and I went home with that album in my hot little hands, sitting in the front seat of the car. And we had no way of knowing that, that could have influenced the Ouija board in any such way as that. So it can be a good thing. It can be a tool for divination. And it's like anything. It's not the object that's bad. It's the intent of the person using it or the lack of training and knowledge thereof.
Ignorance.
Like a gun. A gun can be used for hunting, for defense, but in the hands of the wrong person that doesn't respect it and doesn't understand how to use it, it's dangerous. Same thing with the Ouija board.
So my experience was not bad. When I was growing up, so my mom, she was killed by a drunk driver. My dad worked all the time. It was just me and my brother at home all the time. And, I don't know, I just had this thing inside of me where I sought out religion. So I went to so many different churches, found very awesome people throughout the time that helped take care of us while our dad was doing what he was doing. But then my aunt and uncle finally came and got us, and They got us from Arkansas, took us back to Washington State, and then I was baptized LDS, and I was that until I wasn't, kind of Jack Mormon, doing my own thing and coming back, kind of like medicine when I need it. But I was taught D&D, which I freaking love D&D, and Ouija boards was a bad thing. Don't touch it, it's from the
I
devil.
remember the satanic panic of the 80s and
Yeah, even the reefer,
backmasking in rock music and D&D and
reefer
all that.
madness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I was in the military, we were going through Hurricane Bonnie, and somebody's like, "Hey, since we have all this time, I have a Ouija board. You guys want to play with it?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna touch it, but I'll watch you guys while you do it." And so they're doing it, and it's working out all cool. It's actually moving. There's lots of energy there. And then like, "Hey, you want to try it?" And I'm like, "Well, since I've watched you guys, and nobody's gotten possessed or anything, sure, I'll try it. I want to talk to my mom." And I get on there and I'm like, "Can I talk to my mom?" And it says, "No." I'm like, "No. Nobody tells me no." And I'm like, "Okay, fuck you. I'm going to go take a shower and you can just go on with whatever you're doing." And I come back and it's still laying on my rack. For those of you that don't know military terms, that's my bed. The
Okay.
Ouija
I
board,
was my mind went somewhere else.
right? Yes, yes.
Now, if you could do a Ouija board up there, that would be quite a rack.
Right? Never mind. Um, so,
Now, my
yeah,
Uncle George had a belly big enough he could put his dinner plate on his belly and eat. I thought that was
and his
pretty
drink.
impressive.
Wait, dinner, beer. Here we go. We're
I
set.
couldn't get the cup or the mug up here, but he could
Oh, you kept
put his
falling.
dinner plate here. And when I was a kid, that was just awesome. I want to be able to do that.
That's amazing.
And then now I can almost do it, and it's not as awesome as I thought it was.
No, it isn't that fun. I was telling my kid today, I cannot turn around and tie your shoes. Like, there's a stomach in the way. Like, I'm not the Rubbermaid lady from the, what was that show called? Oh, man. It's from Disney, anyways.
The
Yeah,
Rubbermaid lady, that sounds like a creepy pasta or something. Comes and seals you in a tub,
yeah,
and
you're like, "Meh."
burps it and seals you in there, and then
But yeah, when I tried this, it was sitting there. I didn't know the rules because I never looked into it. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try it now. So I just got on there by myself. And first it was really slow till Gary. And like the longer I was on there, the faster it moved. Tell Gary, Kathy, Greg, John, tell your dad, I'm okay. Everything's okay.
wow.
And I asked her several questions like, "Are you happy?" "Yes, I'm happy." "Where are you?" And she's like, "I can be wherever I want, whenever I want." And all these different things. She can fly, she can do this, she can astral hop, like so much shit, like whatever she wants to do. But she was spiritually empowered. So I'm like, that's cool. I got so excited. The scary part was I was doing this and I was so in tune. Like people from my platoon were like hitting me and stuff and yelling at me, and I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel
Wow.
anything.
You were
So I was like totally
possessed.
sucked in.
You're
Yeah, I was
obsessed.
totally sucked in. And they finally woke me up and they're like, "Hey, you're not supposed to do that by yourself," and blah blah blah. But I called my dad the next day and I was like, "Dad, Mom wanted me to tell you this, and this is also what she said, etc., etc." And he's like, as much as I love her, which he loved her till the day he died, and as much as I want to believe this, I think that could have been a spirit taking advantage of you and making you think she's talking to you when it's really not her.
Now, there are
That,
familiar spirits out there that can mimic loved ones and whatnot, and that's where you have to have that discernment to decide whether it's the actual person that you think you're talking to or something else.
yeah, and it totally killed me. I was like, what? And I didn't even think about it until he said that. And then I was like, guess I'm back on the wagon of not doing it again. And I've never done it again. I'll say, knock on wood, and not ever. I have not ever done it again. My
And I
mentor
do
and
that
I,
too. I knock on wood. I had somebody tell me the other day, don't do that, that it brings the the wood fairies,
You're like,
calls them to
yeah.
you, and they're not nice. They're, most of the, if you look into the fae and some of those stories and legends and things, it's almost like a religion in the Celtic countries. Not very many of those were nice. They stole children. They bewitched people. They did all kinds of bad things. There's a whole hierarchy of different types of fae folk,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I don't want to call anybody any fae in here by knocking on wood and bringing them up. And I even had somebody, Amber's Paraworld. I don't know if you know her or not. I was on her
No, but I
show,
love every paranormal something. I have so many subscriptions.
and she recommends getting rid of your welcome mat. That certain wandering things, spirits, entities, or whatever, they can see that as an invitation into your home, and that's the way a lot of that stuff works. It only can come in if you invite it, like the vampire, the black-eyed kids, all that. And somebody in the chat said, "Well, what if you flip it upside down?" She said, "Oh no, then whatever's underneath can see it and it will come up." So
What?
my doormat's gonna say, "Go away."
Yes, I actually saw one of those, but I don't have a doormat. I need to go up in ranks in the
Mine
world.
says "ghoulish greetings." I've still got my Halloween one out there.
That's a
I
good one.
that's not quite welcome in, but it is greeting them. So
Yeah,
you can say
covers
hello,
all
but
the
stay
bases.
outside. I've got
Yeah.
three spirits here. That's why I have that sign above my head there.
See, that was one of
There's
my next questions. If you moved in and you already had residential ghosts.
I did, and I was thinking about that a few years ago. Every house I've ever lived in was haunted to some degree or another, and then I finally came to the realization that it's not the houses so much as it's me. Because the house I lived in Las Vegas, it was one of the most active houses I've ever lived in as far as supernatural things. But my roommate that I shared the house with, the housemate, she didn't feel or notice anything. So I think
Well, I
that it
don't
was
think she
just
was
my
open.
ability to sense
Yeah.
it and see it. And she had a couple of things happen that changed her mind. But a lot of people are just in denial. But yeah, here there's three spirits. I knew of one of them when I came here. Sandy, my traveling partner, channel manager, and business partner over for 13 past midnight. I bought her house. Her and her husband moved to Albuquerque, and she told me about the spirit of a little boy that she'd ran into here. Well, one night we were sitting out on the back patio. We were the only ones here at the time. It was in the summertime. It was nice out there. Had our computers out there. Had a little camp lantern turned on. I've got them here with me. You can't see it because it's
Oh, you
plugged in.
almost had it there. I saw like where it was lighting up your hand.
There we go. And had that
I
sitting out
love
there. So
it.
we're sitting out there writing and talking and plotting and scheming. And I saw the kitchen window in the door. There's a door that goes out the back. The curtain comes not all the way down. There's about this much of a window below the curtain. Well, I saw the top of a little boy's head go past the
Oh,
windows. Dark hair, just kind of almost a bowl, like a Mo Howard style haircut, it looked like.
yeah.
But she had seen him face to face, but I saw him pass through the kitchen. And a lot of times when we'd be out there, the bathroom lights would come on. And you think, oh, it's faulty wiring or whatever. But a couple of times I would come in and the switch would literally be flipped to the on position and I'd turn it back off. And the cabinet doors open, things like that. And but he seems to be more curious than anything.
Yeah, and he
And
has to pee.
she's seen him a couple of times, but I just saw
Oh.
the top of his head. But I'm a Christian. One morning I was praying and I heard this old woman voice down the hall from my room that said, God gave me breast cancer. So
No, he
I
didn't.
immediately rebuked that spirit. I'm like, no, God didn't put no breast cancer on you.
But that's how some
God
people
comes to
die.
exhort, edify, comfort. That's how you tell Satan's the one that comes to steal, kill, and destroy. After I rebuked her, haven't heard another peep out of her, but whatever, there was a presence back there that you could feel. There was a heaviness. Did some research into the house and found in the 80s that there was indeed a woman that lived here. She had stage 4 breast cancer and decided she didn't want to let the cancer get her, and she overdosed in the bathroom that's a part of the master suite, and died in the floor in there. And it was some time before they found her, not too long of a time, I don't think, because there's that smell of death you can't get out of a house, and there's no smell like that.
And cars too. Like people try to sell those, and you're like, you can't get that smell up. Even there was that one show that, is this fact or fiction or whatnot? And they're like, well, let's try it ourselves. Let's put a pig carcass in here, let it decay for a certain amount of time. You know, things go up and there's oils in these things, etc. Like, those things penetrate. Even like
and there's not even a dead animal. There's nothing that smells like rotting human flesh. Have you ever heard of Dr. Bill Bass that had the body farm? Okay,
yes.
well, I went to the University of Tennessee. He was a professor there. I took, I think it's the Introduction to Forensic Anthropology, which was one of his starter classes. And I did that just to get to go to the body farm. And Tessa, it's on the other side of the river from the campus over where UT Hospital is. They have a teaching hospital there. Out in the woods down behind the hospital, that's where the body farm was. And it's guarded. I mean, there's a high fence and chain links and razor wire and all this stuff. But they had bodies in the trunks of cars. They had bodies had a body in a refrigerator, had a body in a shallow grave. Just anything you could think of. They had bodies that were in pieces in a suitcase. But that smell, to this day, I can close my eyes and I can still smell that smell of human flesh. And they passed around a jar of Vicks and advised everybody to put it on their upper lip. I even put it up in my nose.
Yeah.
And did both fingers, you know. But that even the Vicks didn't kill that stench. But I knew of a house in the neighborhood where I grew up where an old lady lived alone and passed away, and it was a couple months before anybody figured out. And by the time they got her, I mean, she had like putrefied. And the house, the smell was so bad. They tried painting. They tried, primering the wall with kills and some of that type of stuff, painting again. They eventually knocked the house down to the foundation and rebuilt it, and that was the only way to get the smell of death out of it. Yeah. And I still bet if you go in the crawl space, you can smell it.
Right? Ew. No, it's true, though. Out on the ranch, and Vern's trying to convince me to move out there, and he took me out there today to look at this dream spot, and I just got so depressed. Not only because of that, because one of my best friends died last night in a car accident.
Oh, no,
I found my
sorry.
brother the night before. He's been missing for almost 2 years, and I found his obituary online. Nobody's claimed him. I was the first one to light a candle for him. And it just breaks my heart. Like,
that's so sad.
How does that happen?
Now, was he missing, like in the woods, like the cases that I covered?
No, he got COVID, and he was incapacitated, so he couldn't contact anybody.
Oh, okay.
But nobody really cared to look for him until I did, and it just broke my heart. And I cried and cried and cried, and I think it's because I was feeling his feelings, like he's been so alone this whole time.
Well, you're an empath. You have the ability to feel the feelings of others.
And that's what my husband said.
I'm the same way. Like anything that other people feel, that's times 10 with me. Whether it's happiness or sadness or melancholy or nostalgia, it's just so much more intense.
Yeah.
And I have to guard myself. I mean, even these cases and stuff that I cover, there's times where when I'm narrating a case, I'll have to stop and compose myself, step away, go watch cat videos or fail videos or something, for a while. But same thing, I have to watch where I go to. And it's like, say, an old folks home, retirement home. There's energy vampires there that they don't even know they are, and it's not an intentional thing. But you
Mm-hmm.
go in there, and those persons, whatever's in them, their life force, it's trying to pull energy off you. And I have to prepare myself to go in those places. The worst place I was ever in my entire life, when my daughter was born in 1990, she was jaundiced, and they sent her across the street to East Tennessee Children's Hospital to keep her under like an ultraviolet lamp just to make sure she got her color okay. So her mom and I, we of course we went too, and I stayed in the room with them that night, and there was such a dark energy there, and it was feeding off the pain and misery of those children. You know, children
And the
are
fear.
pure. The pain and the fear. I mean, there was burn wards there. They have a cancer ward, and it's all children. So you had children that were literally dying in their throes or in this great pain and suffering, and just that release of emotion and energy and stuff. Just in my mind's eye, I could see like this black cloud entity thing, shadow thing, just hanging over that hospital and drawing all that negative energy from the pain and suffering of those children. I couldn't wait to get it.
It's
Made
like
me
a fucking
physically
funnel.
ill. Yeah, it made me physically ill being there.
It's not cool, and I don't know. The Utes here gave over land for hospital. Now it's built on Ute land. There's also a nursing home. Like, there's these places, like you said, are feeding grounds. And I'm like, what is really going on here? I experienced several deaths at the hospital. I experienced a couple deaths at the nursing home. And even right before my mother-in-law died, she said, "Were you just looking in my window before you came in here?" And I said, "No." She's like, "Well, I saw a woman with a bun on her head peeking through my window." I'm like, "No, I parked and I came in. Ain't nobody got time for that."
Yeah,
It's feeding grounds and there's dark things and they know where to go. Like, where's the cafeteria? Well, it's right over here. And there's another one right down the road.
mm-hmm.
It's pretty creepy.
It
And they
is.
see
It is
kids.
indeed.
She kept saying, "Could you get that little girl out of my room?"
I hear that a lot. I was in the room with my mother when she passed away, and just a few hours before she did, she was laying in the bed. And she kind of sat up, and she said, "No, children, I can't go with you right now." And then just laid back down. And within about 5 or 6 hours or so, she passed away. And that's I've heard that story often. That people that are in a hospice situation or in an end of life situation that will see children, and a lot of times it's a little girl. They see a little girl, and one lady told me a story about I think it's like an aunt or grandmother or something that said, "Can you close the door? That little girl keeps trying to get in here." And then at another point later, she said, "No, go ahead and open it up. She needs to come in here."
Yeah, she
And
keeps knocking.
the little girl came in, and the old lady passed away shortly after. And I think that happens. I think you have relatives or something that can come and escort you to the other side. Um, Instance with my mom, she died on October 22nd, 2003. Well, in 2002, one day I was at work. My daughter was at school. I was living with my parents because my mom had been undergoing cancer treatments at the time. My dad had gone shopping. My mom took a shower. She got out of the shower. She opened the door up. She knew nobody else was there. She just opened the door up to let the steam out. She's drying off, getting her robe on and stuff. She catches something just out of her peripheral vision and turns, and there stood my grandmother in the doorway, in the hallway, standing in the bathroom hallway in the door, and just standing there. And my mom looked at her and said, and she was wearing the pink dress she was buried in. And my mom said there was another person with her that was wearing a gingham dress or skirt, but she could only see the hem of the skirt. She couldn't see the person. And she looked at her and she said, "Mama." And then the apparition, it didn't walk, but it just moved backwards
Right.
down the hallway toward my mom and dad's room. Well, 1 year to the day, that happened on October 22nd, 2003, two. And then October 22nd, 2003 was the day my mom passed away, a year to the day that she had the visitation from her mother. And of course, like I explained, that side of the family was superstitious, and they had those kind of belief systems and stuff. And my mom knew it was a warning. She knew it was an omen important. Hey, Tiger Lily, there's my girlfriend. How are you doing, sweetheart? Good to see you. Thank you for coming. But and my dad, my brother was a Pentecostal preacher. Tried to talk to my mom. No, that's probably just, that she came to let you know that she's watching over you and that you're going to be fine and everything's going to be okay. Sure enough, my mom did get a clear diagnosis. She was cancer free for the third time, and but then she knew in her heart, and then. My dad dropped dead of a heart attack 2 days before his 82nd birthday in September of 2003. And then my mom followed 32 days later. She had another cancer that had come back as a very aggressive form. Took them 2 weeks to figure out what it was. And then within the next 2 weeks, she had already passed away. But she didn't want to fight at that time. She didn't have my dad there. She was ready to go and be with him. So
yeah, she lived so long with him, like being without him.
they were
That's not
married
a way
for
of life.
58 years. They
Yeah,
were married 58 years. And that's
my
just, that long with somebody. And they never fought. They never argued. The night that my dad passed away, they'd been sitting on the couch holding hands and watching TV. And
yeah.
my dad was just a gentle and very loving person. And last words he ever spoke to my daughter and I, we were, like I said, we were staying there because our mom had been doing the cancer treatments. He got up and then walked to go into their bedroom, paused before he left the room and said, "Good night, I love you all."
Oh,
And that was the last words he ever spoke to me, was that he loved me, and the same for my daughter. Went
that's
in the
so
bedroom and
nice.
dead
Yeah,
before
some
he hit
people
the
don't say
ground.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom, I didn't really get a chance to say goodbye to her. They basically morphined her to death. And they had said, prior to starting that, if there's, anybody in the family, anybody that wants to come and have a visitation, that now's the time to do it. And then, so that was when I said my goodbye. But when she actually passed, I was in the room. I had dozed off in the chair. And suddenly, all these nurses and stuff came running in.
You're like, what?
She was gone, and just she went to sleep and didn't wake up. So
That almost happened to my
she passed
husband's
easy,
mom.
but like I said, she was
Yeah,
ready to go.
yeah. See, my friend I lost last night. Well, it was actually this morning, about 1:58 this morning. I guess got into a car accident, and he was drinking and driving, and he generally doesn't drink, but I guess it was a celebration for the company. So he drank with, the owner and whoever else, and then I guess they got into a fight, and he ended up leaving angry and drunk, and ended up dying. And he's got a wife that depends on him. Like, she only had months to live, like 5 years ago. And now he's gone. Like, I think it's because of him that she lived, because it's not just your diet and protocol or whatever else, but that love
And
that they
the
had for
will
that
to
40
live has a
years.
lot to do with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, the first time my mom had cancer in 1983, they basically told her there was nothing they could do for her, sewed her back up, sent her home to die. And like I said, my brother was a Pentecostal preacher, and he's like, "No, that's not going to happen."
right.
And he gathered his prayer warriors, and they started a prayer chain. And literally, somebody was praying around the clock, 24 hours a day. They prayed in shifts. And my mom went back, and it was gone. It amazed the doctors. And that was in 1983, and then she did finally pass in 2003. So they gave her months to live, and she lived 20 years. So the will to live has a lot to do with it, and
It really
without my
does.
dad there, and been married that long, somebody is just such a part of you, and that's what I
Yeah.
always wanted. That's what I grew up around. It. I never found it until now. I've got Tiger Lily here. She's the other piece of me that's always been missing. And I don't think we'll have 58 years together because I don't know. I might live to be
Hey, you never know.
160,
You guys might
170.
prolong each other's
You never
lives.
know. That's right. And we've talked about it. We've known each other in past lives and previous lives and things. This is
Isn't
not our
that
first run in
crazy?
together. And we found each other again. That spark was instantaneous. I've never felt anything like it before or since, but I knew immediately. I know this person. I
Hmm.
know what their hand feels like. I know what their hair smells like. I have
Did you get
memories
that
of things that I
feeling
have no way.
like before you met her? Like, this is what happened before I met my soulmate. I was just like, I'm gonna meet my husband. I'm gonna meet my husband tonight. I wonder what he's like. I wonder what he looks like. Like, all these questions going through my head that don't make
I've been
sense.
telling myself that since I was 6 years old, except I said
Dude.
wife instead of husband.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I can remember hearing the first time I heard Carpenters, we've only just begun. It's like, I want that to play at my wedding. I was like 8 or 9 years old when that came out. I think it came out in 72, I want to say. And
I was,
I knew
come on, get down with the sickness. I'm just kidding.
it. But and I hope I'm not embarrassing Tiger Lily. She better not be embarrassed. But
No,
she
I think
is
she's gonna
the
love
other
it.
part of me, and
Aww. So did you
there
guys
she
meet
is.
like since you moved down here, or did you guys meet before?
Um, she's been a fan of my channel for several years, and she joined one of the groups that I'm an admin for. And yeah, there she is. It truly is bizarre, but in an amazing way. She joined one of the groups that I was an admin for, and I usually don't even do this. I'll put the whole welcome message thing in, welcoming all the new members to this group. But there was just something about her when I welcomed her in. Um,
Like you've known her
I
forever.
messaged her individually. Yeah, there was just something like, you need to pay attention to this person. I messaged her, and she thought I was a bot. She's like, "Oh, that's a nice bot you've got there stalking you."
Yeah,
I'm
and you
like,
know all this
"No,
shit.
it's really me." I had to convince her, and I think it finally took a phone call and hearing my voice and do my whole, "Hello, friends, Steve Stockton here with you. Welcome to our latest video."
And then you
But
had to say her name.
but it was truly magic. I've never felt anything like it. It was just that instant connection, and I compared it, and I know this probably sounds weird, but it's like putting on a favorite sweater, being around her
Hmm.
and talking to her and stuff. Just that
You just want
warmth
to
and that
crawl into
comfort
it.
feels like home. And
Yes.
yeah, she's as shocked as I am, but here we are.
Well, that's awesome. On that note, Steve, we do have to go to our first music break. So on this break, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard from the San Diego area with Abandoned, which is kind of like a 80s ballad, but awesome. Mullitude. I used to have a mullet. I just want you guys to know that mullets are people too, so don't discriminate.
I sort of had one back in the '80s. I had the punk
Oh,
mullet.
I did
It was
too.
long
I
in the
had that
back, and then I
here.
had it spiked up on top. And
Yes.
then I did the whole Gary Newman thing, and I've had a mohawk, and then I did the dancing thing where I grew my hair out real long and dyed it black,
Oh,
shaved it on
yes.
the sides, and would pull it back. Fingernails were painted black. I used to wear the eye makeup and stuff. I
People
went
still do
from
that.
punk to new romantic to goth to neo goth to grunge and everything in between.
And then, I don't know if Steve
Yeah,
has
Tiger
one of
Lee says, I
these.
feel like I'm. So we're getting ready to take a break here. Do I have time to go see Man About a Dog, as they say?
Yeah, I'm gonna go see a man about a horse. He's gonna go see a man about a dog. But yeah, I don't know if Steve has one of these,
You
but
must have to go worse than I do if it's a horse.
yeah, it's really bad. It always is. When it comes to that point, it's like, oh, I can go forever, and then all of a sudden it's like, you better go now. Like the alarms
Well,
start going off.
I've been getting my blood pressure under control. One of the medicines they put me on was a diuretic, and that speeds things along.
Right, it does. You're like,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I'll see you in a
and
second.
whenever I get up, Mulder thinks he has to get up, so I'll have to go. And don't tell anybody, but sometimes I just go out in the yard with him. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the advantages of
I
being
do
a
that
male and
too.
having a high fenced yard. We'll just both go out and
Hey, you don't have to be a male
take
to
care of
feed the
business there.
bush or the tree. Like, everybody can
But
feed.
I never said that, and if anybody accuses me of that, I'll deny it. But
Yes, exactly.
you heard it here
No,
first.
we can all
So
water bushes and
we'll be
trees.
right back after this musical break. Is that the way it works? Now the show continues, right? But you're
Yeah,
on
so we have
Spreaker,
the
you're on
music,
iHeartRadio, you're on
and I
Twitch, you're
have
on.
the banana in the
This
butt.
is going out to
So,
like 500 different
yeah.
stations, and it's on terrestrial or KPNL digital radio. You're on terrestrial radio places too, aren't you?
E-Talk Radio, no, that's why we can cuss, because we're not actually
Okay.
technical. Yeah, yeah.
The FCC can
They don't know
take a.
me.
There you go. Okay.
Okay,
So
so the next song,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you.
it's all right. Usually that's me, but I'm glad I'm trying to behave myself this evening. But yeah, we have a band.
I can see it. I'd do the next song for you. Coming up right after this.
CSV, Consensual Sex Band. That's why I was like, I don't know if Steve has one of these, but if he does, there's a song about it. And then The Good Life. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Stay where you are. Please stop. We'll be right back here with you.
Left here alone, just a shadow of my erection on the wall. Why won't you answer my calls? I gave you my all with the love we made together all night. I got Mola moves, got that Mola too. You think it's wrong? I could've had too long. Fuck that. Check these Mola moves. You need a Mola too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it.
All these hookers sweet on me. Look at them chasing me, showing me that ass. And I bagged up to snatch. I do this shit for free. Go down your Motel 3. She's taking selfies with the mullet like it's history. How can I maneuver you with that pussy, dude? You sit like Buddha waiting on it to come to you. My lines are straight to the point. She shows me gratitude. So what's your latitude? Let's adjust your attitude. Head with a alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
I got Mola moves, I got that Mola too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that.
Head with a alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
Check these Mola moves. You need a Mola too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it.
Alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini. You're like the butt of a butternut cutting up panini. So climb back in your kangaroo pouch like a rolling genie. These moves are hot, these locks I got. This power cannot be disputed and it can't be bought. So you can find me in the studio with all these thoughts. You wanna bite my style, but you can't be what you're not, neighbor.
I got Mola moves, I got that Mola too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these Mola moves. You need a Mola too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it. Got that motherfucking Mola head. You wanna touch it?
Yeah. Next time you come around here with your bitch ass, just remember how my mullet makes your hoes pussy drip, drip, drip.
I got Mola moves, I got that Mola too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these Mola moves. You need a Mola too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it. I got Mola moves, I got that Mola too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these Mola moves. You need a Mola too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it.
Drip, drip,
Mola moves.
Just a Mola, bitch.
Mola moves.
drip, drip.
Mola moves.
All up in a silly little yellow polka.
Never gonna cut it.
Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Let me take you far away from all this huff and puff. There will
go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Just get in the van.
Excuse me! Excuse me! You got a cigarette? Hey, you help a guy out with some spare change.